Hello everybody, this is Danny
and Wanda
from Deep South Homestead.
Tonight we were asked to be a part of a collaboration with a channel called Naked Hog, and in that collaboration is Cog Hill Farms and Life on Beagle Road. And they asked two questions. The first question is, what is our biggest concern about a disaster?
In order to answer that, first of all, we would have to know what kind of disaster it is. Now, here where we live at, in the Deep South, the main disaster we face here is a natural disaster. It's not man-made, and it's hurricanes.
Or tornadoes.
And our biggest concern during a hurricane, first of all, is the tornadoes, because it does spawn a lot of them during it, especially if you're on the northeast quadrant of it.
Yep.
And I guess just safety, the damage from the hurricane itself doesn't bother me. It's the tornadoes that it spawns. The flooding really doesn't bother me, because here we don't flood.
We're on a hill.
We're on one of the highest hills in this part of the country. So.
And safety, we have a cellar. We have a storm underground living
facilities, yeah.
And it is stocked, it is ready, and we could stay down there for days and not have any issues.
Right.
We have water and food, we have
toiletries, whatever.
Everything we need is there. So that doesn't really concern us.
That doesn't concern us. After Hurricane Katrina, I went 26 days here with no electricity.
And I went 10 days without any, and we learned to adapt.
You learn to adapt, but
quickly.
Our biggest issue is
heat.
That's
heat.
it here. It's not the fact that we don't have electricity. It's not the fact that we don't have food, because we have food. It's not the fact that we don't have water. We got water. We can wash clothes. I mean, we can do all the things. We can cook. We have all the facilities to do all that stuff with no electricity. It's just the extreme heat.
And some people are going to say, oh, you're a wimp because you can't handle the heat. Okay, come to South Mississippi after a hurricane with no electricity and tell me that the humidity is not just... And we've almost felt it in the last few days too.
Really, we have.
But the humidity is what gets you. You cannot get outside at night. There's no airflow. There's nothing. After a hurricane...
I was going to say, after a hurricane, you have to understand...
There's no wind.
It clears the atmosphere out. And when it does, it completely... Everything is like a dead silence after it. The skies are usually crystal clear. The sun's beaming through. There's no wind. There's nothing like this. And that, my friend...
is the
biggest concern I have right now.
Yeah, because... we made it after Katrina, and we will make it now.
Is what can you do to prepare for it?
Yeah. So one thing is we have shade trees.
Yeah.
Lots of shade trees, unless a tornado hurricane puts them all down. So you can get under a shade tree. At least you're not in the sun.
We have 100-gallon cattle barrels. During Katrina, we used those. We filled them up with water. We use them to bathe in. We use them to wash in.
And even if you just need to cool off.
Yeah.
After Katrina, I had a top ground swimming pool, and for 10 days my pool stayed clear. I had enough bleach to keep it going, even though I didn't have a pump to keep it pumped. For 10 days it stayed clear, and I allowed the kids in it for short periods of time, like 10, 15 minutes, and then back out. And I would go... It was so hot that I would just go get in it, go underwater, and you could feel the steam coming off your body when you did. And then I would get out, and you would wear your wet clothes, because that felt good.
Felt good to stay wet.
So staying wet in wet clothes, letting it just dry naturally, taking sponge baths.
Sponge baths. The thing is, we couldn't even live in our houses because the houses got so hot on the inside that actually I slept on the porch in a tent at night, because that was actually...
The tent would be hotter.
No, the tent was actually cooler, because what I did, I had a generator running, and I had a little electric fan sitting there over me, an oscillating fan like this blowing all night long, and when the fan went off, is how I would know the generator ran out of fuel, because the generator was on the back side of my house where I would have to listen to it where I could sleep.
Yeah. So to
Now,
stay kind of cool, that's some of the things that we
that's
would do.
one of the things you can do to prepare for it. Another thing is to make your house generator ready, because my house is now generator ready. We have 110 units. We can put in a 110 air conditioning unit in our bedroom now and turn the generator on, and as long as we have fuel, and we can keep that one room cool so we can sleep at night and at least get a decent night's rest in the extreme heat.
And so that's one aspect, but it said disaster. So what if,
Well, that is a disaster.
for us, that's a every year thing.
Yeah.
But what if there was a different type disaster?
If there was a different type disaster, say, electromagnetic pulse, an EMP,
Or anything to do with the
a solar
collapse.
a
of
solar
the,
storm, maybe a collapse of the economy.
Yeah.
So,
Okay, what's the one thing that would bother us and everybody?
I think this one thing's going to hit everybody.
Because most people don't think of this. They think,
It's the
I've got
one
this
thing.
prepared, and I've prepared, and I've prepared.
Yep, it's the one thing.
It's the one thing that's going to hit everybody.
When I used to teach some survival, it's the one thing I tell you, it's your worst enemy. It is, and I say it's your worst enemy, you'll probably look at me and go, there's no way, but I will promise you, I would never go into a situation with anyone who had never been into some sort of a situation like that, because it's all psychological.
And there's no way to prepare for it.
There's no way to prepare for what will happen to you psychologically. Anxieties can happen, fears, panic attacks, all these kind of things happen, and that's what drives people to insanity.
And commit suicide to, if they don't have the food they need, they're going to panic.
They'll steal, they'll kill. Their instincts, survival instincts in them just kick in, and they do things in extremes that they would not do in any other situation. Or either you might have some people that are introverts, or that might just pull in, and they might just say, I can't do anything, and they might sit there and just panic and freeze and just actually starve to death like that. You do have that. So the mental side
is the one
thing that most people never think of, and it's the hardest thing to prepare for. That's why the military puts guys through the training that they put them through, is so that when something happens, you really don't think, you react.
Just react. And so that's, I guess, in a disaster, that would be the one thing that I think would affect us that we can't prepare for. We don't know how to prepare.
Because you don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
That's the unknown is probably the worst thing that a person can face, is not knowing what's going to happen and not knowing the future. But let me tell you this. You can educate yourself for lots of things. You can educate yourself for nuclear. You can educate yourself for electromagnetic pulses. You can educate yourself for earthquakes. There's all kinds of things, disease, pandemics. You can educate yourself on how to survive through those things. And it might seem like you're a mean, cruel person, but surviving sometimes requires you to be, let's just use a phrase, to use an extreme personality rather than being loving and easygoing and all this kind of stuff.
And Danny tells me you got to learn to say no.
You got to learn to say no sometimes.
And I'm one person that really is so tender-hearted that I want to help everybody do everything. And probably the one thing he's going to have to protect me from if the disaster happened is protect me from myself.
I'll have to protect her from her own self.
Because it would be so hard for me to tell somebody no.
Yeah, because and I've used this example before in teaching survival. It's just like if there was an outbreak of, say, Ebola or anything like that, or any kind of airborne or anything that's contagious, where if you come in contact with another person that you could catch it. When you get to that kind of point in life, you have to learn to say no.
Because just allowing somebody on the property and not knowing who they are, where they've came from,
could contaminate the
could
property.
contaminate our whole property.
Yes.
And so that, to me, that's cruel. That's really hard. But it might be a total life-saving
Yeah.
thing. So we want to thank
Naked Hog.
for inviting us into this collaboration. And we hope you might get something out of how we prepare for our natural disasters, which is usually hurricanes. And
But it won't be that for everybody.
no,
Everybody will have a different natural disaster where they're at, or disaster period. Some people deal with floods, some deal with, whatever.
that's the one that we have.
Yeah.
And so we kind of took it to the extreme with if a national something happened.
Yeah. Or a pandemic.
Yes. So.
Oh, yeah. I guess, y'all may think that we're a little cruel in the way we think, but in the event of a pandemic or something like that, only the people that survive will be those that seem to be hard. And it's not that they're hard, it's who you have to become. Okay, guys, that's our way that we would deal with this sort of a situation. So I hope that maybe you've learned a little bit of something from the way we think and the way we would deal with things. Maybe you would deal with it differently, but that's how we're going to deal with it here at Deep South Homestead. So thank y'all from Deep South Homestead.
Bye, guys.